As a kid, was you naturally into like physically gifted, or was it a normal person?
Yeah, I was definitely physically gifted. I was always skinny. I've always struggled to put on weight, believe it or not. I was kind of like tall, but definitely had good genetics from my parents. My dad played rugby and basketball. My mother was a sprinter and played hockey. So definitely got their kind of fast twitch muscle fibres, and things came easy to me. I think when I started playing rugby at the age of 10, I started playing in the under-13s. So I was playing a couple of age grades up because the club I wanted to play at didn't have a mini section, so I just kind of went straight to under-13s. So I think that massively helped me improve my rugby quickly, because otherwise I'm just going to get smashed. So yeah, it was definitely sports came much easier to me than kind of academics, I guess. But yeah, not that it's obviously I struggled academically, but I just probably enjoyed sports a lot more.
So were your parents being athletes? Did you have like a competitive mindset at the time?
I've always been competitive, everything. Me and my dad used to wrestle like all the time when I was a kid. I used to sprint against my dad the whole time, like try and beat him in like foot races and stuff. And yeah, I've always been like hugely competitive, whether it's like anything. I don't like being bad at something, and if I am bad at something, I'll try and get better as fast as possible, just to make sure that I'm not kind of embarrassed again, if you like. So yeah, always competitive, whether it's playing rugby or just playing football in the yard with my friends. It's always want to be the best player out there.
So rugby days, early days, what's that like for someone who's not involved in the sport?
Yeah, so it's full contact as soon as we started at under-13s. Rugby's a fantastic sport in the fact that it's got a position for everyone, especially for kids. Whereas football, you have to be fast, agile, etc. Rugby's got positions for your little fat kids. It's got positions for your overly skinny kids who play on the wing. You've got short kids who can play at scrum half. So I think rugby is a fantastic sport for inclusion for everyone, because every shape of kid has a position on that field, and everyone can play on a level playing field. So that was what I really enjoyed. And when I started playing out, I used to play in the back row. So I used to play number 8, which is obviously right at the back of the scrum. So I used to link up with the backs quite a lot and play kind of fast kind of running game, which was what I really enjoyed. Getting my hands on the ball, making tackles, all this kind of fun stuff in rugby, I believe, is fun anyway. And yeah, it was a great period of my life. Obviously played rugby all the way through early years, through my teens, up until kind of university level, before obviously I moved away from it.
When I was younger, I played basketball like quite competitively, and like I did learn a lot, like discipline. I think a lot of it carried over into like business and other things that I did. Is that the same sort of like level you was playing at, same sort of thing? Did you discipline, daily routine, morning routines, all that kind of stuff?
Definitely. Well, my parents tell me that when I was a young kid, I was actually quite shy. They said that I was quite shy, and to build my confidence stuff, they actually kind of threw me into different things. So I actually started doing kind of like mixed martial arts and stuff as a kid, going down to kind of karate lessons, etc., and judo. From the age of kind of 5 onwards, I was kind of doing that. And it was the same with rugby. It teaches you discipline, not just kind of discipline in the point of doing what you're told, but discipline with your training, being on time to sessions, etc., sticking to the rules. I think it's fantastic kind of, sports in general are fantastic for teaching good life practices and kind of keep kids away from kind of negative influences, in my opinion. It's really underrated, especially as now kids spend the whole time inside on a computer game. And yeah, you might be competitive with someone on the other side of the world, but there's no physical interaction with other people. And I think that and working with your peers to like overcome or to attain a goal, like you do with rugby, of winning a game, is hugely beneficial.
So then, from you was playing competitively in rugby. How did you get to strongman and then into strength and conditioning? Like the whole, was that happen at the same time?
Yeah, so kind of. I mean, I played high level of rugby. I was obviously played county, played professional for a year with Saracens Rugby Club. Came all the way through their academy, basically from 14s upwards, to get a academy contract, which is nothing big, when I was leaving school. So I actually deferred my place at university. I'd got a place at Loughborough to study sports science, and I deferred that for a year to go full-time with the rugby. And that was fantastic. Obviously, it's my first taste of full-time professional sport, which is great. But it was during that year that I kind of realised that, you know, while I was a very gifted athlete, I didn't necessarily have a set position on the rugby field. You know, and with my work in rugby later down the line, I see this a lot with some younger players who are incredibly gifted in and around the gym, you know, fit, fast, strong, but don't necessarily have that out-and-out position on a rugby field that the top professionals have. You know, I'd be playing in the back row. I'd sometimes play on the wing as well because I was very quick. But you know, I didn't have that set position that I was like the best in one position. So, you know, at that time, then I decided, okay, I'll go to university, and my goal then was to move into strength and conditioning. I liked the feeling of kind of improving in the gym or out on the running track, and I thought I'd be able to help a lot more people that way. So took my place up at Loughborough, which is, you know, arguably the best university for sport, especially kind of education as well, in terms of sporting education, sport science, with the goal of becoming a strength and conditioning coach. You know, back then you didn't have the strength and conditioning coach degrees you have now, so it's a case of doing a sports science degree and then finding a placement after that. And you know, while I was at Loughborough, I got the opportunity to go and do some strongman training. So I'd finished playing rugby, and it was my last year of uni, and I'd kind of stopped there because obviously I was getting ready to take the full-time job on. I was actually earning, so I was working on the door to make sure I had money for when I had to do a year's unpaid work that I would do in strength and conditioning. So probably my degree suffered a wee bit as I was working on the doors from like 7 at night till 5 in the morning. I'm probably missing a few too many lectures, but I got the opportunity to go and do some strongman training. I'd watched World's Strongest Man as a kid all the way through. I think my first one I watched was Magnus Samuelsson winning it in 1998. That was on BBC. Christmas time. Like a lot of people in the UK, I think it's kind of synonymous with kind of Christmas time and everyone's sitting around and watching something crazy. And you know, I wanted a chance to have a go at it, and yeah, fortunately, some of my mates were going down there. I went with them and kind of took to it like a duck to water. You know, I was moving really well with the events. I enjoyed it, and it was literally, I can't tell you, it was a dusty yard in the middle of Leicestershire. There was homemade equipment. It was just out of a container. A good friend of mine, Jason Talbot, who is a former British champion in both powerlifting and then strongman as well. He was running the sessions there, and yeah, it was fantastic, and I was kind of bitten by the bug straight away. Entered my first competition that year, so it was 2011. I won Midland's Strongest Man, and then won the UK Strongest Man as well, under 105 kilo class. And then just moved up to the Opens and kind of started progressing from there. And I was kind of bitten by the iron bug and stuck in the iron game.
When you was younger and you was watching it, was there any connection then, like when you used to watch it?
No, when I watched it originally, I thought it was really cool, and I wanted to have a go at it. You know, I could see myself. I became fascinated with strength because it came naturally to me. But I didn't go out there thinking, right, I'm going to compete at World's Strongest Man. It was more of a case of, you know, I'd love to do this someday, and it wouldn't be cool to be the strongest man on the planet. And that's kind of where my strength journey started. It wasn't until after I won Midland's Strongest Man under 105, still in my first year competing, I set the goal of competing at World's Strongest Man within 5 years, which I managed to do, competing with my first Worlds in 2015. But yeah, it wasn't until I actually started doing the training. You know, back then as a kid, I was just fascinated by maximal strength, like a lot of people are. We're humans are naturally obsessed with the ultimates. You know, whether it's the fastest man on the planet, you know, the strongest, you know, the quickest person to run a marathon, especially when it comes to sporting prowess. So for me, you know, I was most fascinated with kind of maximal strength.